divided into two streams. And before the time of that dam, before it was constructed, I told you the river was full of fish. It's connected to our story because Cossacks were very good fishermen. And I will show you also the things that they used to fish the fish. Then, just in front of you, you can see the place where gunpowder was kept. The things they did when they were not taking part in the war campaign. So, they had to grow something. And they were very good at agriculture. And I told you that the lands here, they're very productive and you can get very good harvest. When they got the harvest, they also had to keep it somewhere, preserve it. So, wheat, bread was made from flour, and this flour was made by Cossacks using this machine. It's called a hand mill. I think it's very good for keeping fit, you know, for being physically well. And there is also a Ukrainian proverb. Working on a hand mill, killing your life. It's a very boring thing. Or they use this mortar, which is also very heavy. Not only agriculture, they were good fishermen, and the river was incredibly rich at that time. For fishing, they used nets. The nets were quite long. The longest registered was 800 meters long. And the fish, that was big and heavy. For this, they needed boats like that. These boats are made from one trunk of one tree. The whole tree, then it was hollowed, and you get that boat. But to preserve fish, you either dry it or salt it. So they needed salt. And they bought salt from the Crimea on the carts. And so Cossacks took flour, fish, salted it, and then bought salt to preserve it here. That is it. You can take some pictures. This yoke is real. And those scales are also real. They are from the 18th century. Quite old. Maybe they sold the Cossacks, but I'm not sure. Okay. Of the first fortress. The first fortress that was built in the year 1558. That's before William Shakespeare. No, 4 years after William Shakespeare was born. What can you see here? These are real things from the first Cossack fortress. For example, that stone cannonball, or this barrel of a gun. You can see that this barrel is torn into pieces, because the weapons at that time, they were awful. You wanted to kill the enemy, you made a shot and killed yourself. So it was difficult to be a Cossack at that time. This siege, this fortress, existed for only 2 years. After that, it was moved to a different place. Look here. These are weapons from the later period. This is the middle of the 16th century. And a wolf. Why? Wolf symbolizes one more commander-in-chief of Cossacks. His name was Ivan Sirko. And he was elected, because that was democracy, he was elected as the commander-in-chief 12 times. And he was a wizard, a magician. He could turn into a wolf. He could stop bullets, stop cannonballs with just his hand. And it's flying, he could stop. He could make his sword. He's sitting in the lotus position, as if meditating. He is a great thinker. Then he is playing a musical instrument, which is the dream of peace, because culture and songs, they come with peace when there is no war. Here you can see the saber. It's hanging, there is no war, but it's very close to him. If something starts, he will grab it and go to the battle. The war itself is symbolized by the black horse. The black horse there, it symbolizes the troubles of war. But it's very little here. He's smoking something. He's smoking a pipe. And a great exhibition of pipes. Some of them are real, some of them are copies, All the big ones, they are not real, of course. They are to show you, to illustrate the pipes and the way they were decorated. What did Cossacks smoke? Not cannabis, no. They smoked herbal tea, chamomile, mint, melissa, and other dried grass. And then, after the 17th century, they started to smoke tobacco when they started to, well, work with Turkish guys more, because the Turks, they smoked tobacco. And you can see little windows, very typical also of houses here in Ukraine, not to let the heat off. You can take a picture now. That is the place, Mamai. That's his name. Okay. They wrote with the help of special feathers. You know, you can see their feathers. Usually for one day they needed 20 or more. Because you imagine how many birds they had to have. Yes. As for the ink was made with special technique, special technology from the leaves of an oak tree. And I forgot to show you, on the painting Cossack Mamai, there was an oak tree. It symbolizes here power, health, very good health. And so from an oak tree came also the ink to write. And here in the museum they tried to make that ink according to the recipe, and it could. It still is. That is the place where translators worked with documents, and it was also a post office. When they received letters, they were translated, and the answers were written here. And that is the place of the chief scrivener. Mary was a woman, and I told you that women were not allowed to siege. As Cossacks were great sinners, they were killing people, they gave 1/10 of their money to the church. So this church was never poor, because they gave 1/10 of all the money they had to the church. This piece of icon is real. It comes from the 18th century, and it was brought from the western part of Ukraine. So it's not local, but it gives you an idea of what it looked like at that time. Yeah, this place is filled with some spiritual energy. One thing I liked here is the smell also, and the fact that it's wooden. The original churches were made without using nails, no metal parts, just wood and some wooden blocks. This one uses nails, of course, but still it gives you a very good idea of what those old churches looked like. Now, you can spend some time here, and after that, let's meet in the shade near this cathedral. And I will tell you more stories. The commander-in-chief, with their voices. So they were screaming, and they were also throwing their hats into the air. So they were screaming and throwing hats. And it was like listening. Okay, this one is louder, this person will be elected as the hetman, the commander-in-chief. Then the person who was elected, he was with swearing, with bad words, and with kicks, they really kicked him, to the center of the square, kind of to this place, with legs. Yeah, then he came here, and 3 oldest Cossacks approached him, it was usually in winter, so they took snow and mud and dust and everything, and put it on his head. Do you know why? To show him that he is not the king of the world. He came to serve, he came to help the Cossacks.